The nature of organizational culture. In this presentation, we are going to learn the basics of organizational culture. After going through this presentation, you should be able to define the organizational culture, identify the elements and nature of organizational culture, discuss the changing organizational culture, and know the benefits of culture and concept of merging culture. Let us start by defining organizational culture. Organizational culture is a system of shared beliefs and attitudes that develops within an organization and which guides the behavior of its members. As defined by Larry Sen, organizational culture consists of the norms, values, and unwritten rules of conduct of an organization as well as management styles, priorities, beliefs, and interpersonal behavior that prevail. Together they create a climate that influences how well people communicate, plan, and make decisions. Culture and climate of an organization have different meanings. Climate refers to the current situation in an organization and how various elements of an organization are linked. Culture provides the context within which the situation occurs. There are three basic elements or levels of culture, which you all will see in the analytical representation given in the slide. As you can see, at the first level, there are artifacts or things that define and reveal culture. Artifacts can be products or services of the organization or the behavior of the employees. At the second level, there are espoused values. They provide the reasons for what organization does. Organizational values are reflected in their size, quality of the products, profitability, etc. At the third level, there are basic assumptions or the beliefs of the members of the organization. Culture sets down the right way of doing things through these assumptions. Now we will look at the main characteristic features of organizational culture. Organizational culture defines how much space the business allows for innovation and risk. It defines how much an organization stresses on accuracy and details in work. It defines what an organization ultimately wants and where its focus is, that is, on the results or the process. It also defines how an organization treats its members. It shows how team-oriented the organization is. It also brings out the nature of the organization, for example, whether it is aggressive or assertive. It defines whether the organization concentrates on stability or it wants constant change or it looks for stability through constant innovation. We will now talk about some important terms associated with organizational culture. These terms are expressed as characteristics of culture by Fred Lutyens. The first one is observed behavioral regularities. It refers to the common language, terminology, and rituals followed or used by members of the organization. Norms. They are the behavioral expectations and cues within a society or group. Dominant values. They refer to the strong values of the organization like high product quality or high efficiency. Philosophy. It is the policy or set of policies that govern beliefs of the members of an organization. Rules. They are strict guidelines to be followed by every member. For example, there are rules for attendance or conduct. And lastly, organizational climate. It represents the overall feeling of the organization. You must have heard the phrase, change is difficult, but it is inevitable. Same is true for organizational culture. Change does take place, but it is not very easy to change organizational culture. Managers have to be patient and focused on changing parts of the organization's culture that is under their control. There are two major ways of bringing about a change in culture of the organization. One way is to change the behavior of the members of the organization. Managers can do this by adding new behaviors that are central to the organizational culture. This is known as behavior addition. Or a manager can also introduce new behaviors altogether in place of behaviors that were central to the old culture. This is known as behavior substitution. Another way to change organizational culture is to change all the visible artifacts that relate to the old culture. For example, managers can change the office design and layout, or they can change the compensation and HR policies. A successful organizational culture is one that can adapt itself to the changing environment, gives equal participation opportunities to the employees, is consistent with the mission and vision of the organization, and it should be able to influence values, beliefs, and attitudes of the employees. It is important to have the right organizational culture as it gives a professional identity to the employees. It is an important source of stability, continuity, and employee security. It helps the employees and outsiders to know the organization better, and it is a source of enthusiasm and creativity for the employees. Organizational culture and organizational structure can be difficult to clearly distinguish from one another or define within an institution. Organizational structure works within an organizational culture. Organizational structure refers to the infrastructure and the various methods and practices within the infrastructure that helps organizational culture to run with efficiency and stability. A sound organization structure ensures effective communication and coordination between different departments of the organization, and it therefore reflects the culture of the organization. Now let us see how much have you understood till now. State whether the following statements are true or false. Culture and climate are one and the same thing. True or false? The answer is false. As per their meanings, they are not the same. Constant change and innovation are focused on making organizations more stable. True or false? It's true. By changing behaviors, we can change culture. True or false? True. Organization culture and structure are knotted. True or false? True. As per Cotter and James Heskett, researchers of Harvard Business School, there are two levels of organizational culture, that is, visible level and invisible level. Visible level includes the behavior patterns and styles of the employees, and the invisible level comprises of the shared values and beliefs that are held over a period of time. Based on their research, Cotter and Heskett concluded that organizational culture can have a major impact on the long-term economic performance of the organization. Corporate culture will probably be an even more important factor in determining the success or failure of firms in the next decade. Corporate cultures that inhibit strong long-term financial performance can be developed easily, even in firms that are full of reasonable and intelligent people. Even though organizational culture is difficult to change, it can be made more performance enhancing. Now let's see the difference between adaptive organizational culture and unadaptive organizational culture. Managers in adaptive organization culture care more about the stakeholders of the organization. They value people and processes that can bring more useful changes in organization. These managers are not afraid to initiate meaningful changes, even if it involves risks. On the other hand, managers in unadaptive organizational culture concentrate mainly on themselves and value risk reducing and orderly processes. These managers do not change their strategies very often, therefore are unable to take advantage of the changes in business environment. Mergers and acquisitions lead to merging of two different organizational cultures. In such situations, cultural clash is inevitable. These clashes should be dealt with to integrate different entities into a new, improved, and reconstituted organization. We will discuss some strategies by which two organizational cultures can be merged. The first strategy is assimilation. As per this strategy, the employees at the acquired company willingly embrace the cultural values of the acquiring organization. The second strategy is deculturation. In this, the acquiring firm imposes their culture and business practices on the acquired firm. The third strategy is integration. In this strategy, the two or more cultures are combined into a new composite culture that preserves the best features of the previous cultures. Fourth and last is separation. In this strategy, the merging companies agree to remain distinct entities with minimal change of culture or organizational practice. Now let us quickly go through the main points of the presentation. Organizational culture is a system of shared beliefs and attitudes that guides the behavior of its members. There are three levels of organizational culture: visible artifacts, espoused values, and basic underlying assumption. It plays an important role in success of an organization.